and this is very controversial, but there's documentation to prove it, Barack would not be the first black president if he is elected. We've had 5 black presidents.
We need to do a whole show in there. I just when I see this Barack thing in the media, it's like a subtle subterfuge. It may not be subtle, but it's a subtle subterfuge. It's
subtle to some.
It's rocking us to sleep. It's an okie doke, man. Like I said, I need to turn this camera around so we can see 75th and Dorchester. Mosque Marion, Farrakhan's mosque is right down the street. I should take you through the hood. We don't give a damn about, if you will, most of us don't give a damn about Barack being president. Right. Come on back come to the hood, see what the hood's like.
Let me tell you something. If you're in Chicago, there are 3 offices that influence more as to who is incarcerated than the President of the United States. 1 is the Superintendent of Police.
Superintendent of Police.
2 is the Cook County State's Attorney. 3 is the Mayor of the City of Chicago.
The Mayor of the City of Chicago.
Now, if black people are
these are all white people right now. The Spanish girl may win. Spanish girl may win.
Well, at this point, we're trying to deal.
But I'm saying that those 3
unacceptable.
officers right now have a more impact on black folks on the hood every day.
In this city than the president.
And that's in your town too if you live in Detroit, Baltimore, all them cities. Man.
And to show you the contradiction in our participation, our Illinois State Senator Emil Jones gave some statistics on the turnout of the so-called Super Tuesday.
The last election.
In the black wards in Chicago, and they averaged at 34% turnout. Whereas, give you an example, each ward is approximately 50%. That means 35,000 people voted and 15 didn't in every ward.
And this is Barack's hometown.
Right.
That's our tough. Most black people don't give a damn about Barack really running because we just consume and just survive.
So I think we better stop.
We got to put things in perspective.
That's right. Put them into perspective. Yeah. And all politics is local.
Yes.
And charity starts at home.
That's right.
So if we're going to do anything, I think we need to start by being consistent, because it's really about self-determination.
Yeah.
And you can't talk one thing and do something else and expect people to respect you until you demonstrate some self-respect. So I think I've kind of lightened my chest a little on that one.
Hey, you're wonderful, and I just want to let these younger people, because see we're from a different generation, and these younger people who are 30, I'm 40s, you 30-year-olds, you 20-year-olds. I know things have changed, but they don't understand. Some things ain't really changed.
Well, I can tell you what hasn't changed. That young black males are still a target by the criminal justice system.
That's right.
More black men are incarcerated than any other group in the country.
And guess what? Barack becomes president, it's still going to be the same.
And so that has not changed.
That's
and again,
right.
I would kind of like, when I don't even have to interview people one-on-one to find, I listen all day, read the papers, watch the white media, the black media, the underground media, and I'm listening to this, as you say, this subtle subterfuge. But it's a willingness. It's a willingness to be a part of. It's like if they're all gonna jump off the cliff, I don't want to be left here standing by myself. I want to jump off the cliff with them, because at least I'll be with some folk. And if that's where we are at this point, then you all go ahead, because the world will be better off without you. We do not need to have that type of herd group mentality that even against our own best interest, we're willing to consistently behave. What about these young people? Now, young people have no excuse at this point. I keep hearing this thing about, well, back in the day, at least you all had grassroots organizations, and there was this. Do you know who started those grassroots organizations? Young people.
Right.
Okay? We didn't go to the older people and say, please, would you form an organization so that we could join? So no one is stopping young people from behaving in their own interest. And I believe that based on the information and knowledge that they do have, they are acting out what they believe is their own interest. That just shows you how confused.
And I say that because most African Americans to this very day live in segregated communities. I don't care if you're DeKalb County, Georgia, Fulton County, Georgia. I don't care. Most of us live in all black communities.
Right.
And so we have an interest to make sure our neighborhoods we improve our neighborhoods.
Right.
And that's where the activists come in.
Right. And I'm going to deal with this too, this so-called technology.
Yeah.
Supposedly, that's the way that young people communicate.
Right.
Well, I read that too. I look at the YouTubes and the Yahoos and the blogs and all of that. However, what I do not see a clearly defined line coming from black youth defining who they are. There should be a form of activism on behalf of black youth, creating blogs, pronouncing declaring self-determination on behalf of this presidential election and every other election. I don't hear that. When we were younger, we were running for offices, didn't have the age, you had to be 35. We were still putting our names.
That goes back to this Barack phenomenon, because so many young people who are in their 30s and 20s have bought into this, we're all the same, I don't want to get to this race thing. I can't count the young people I listen to, I don't even talk to them per se. Is that because they talk about, I don't really care about race, and race don't matter no more. And this is how they talk.
I said delusional.
I mean, that because what happened, the average sister is single. They not going, and the brothers are so whacked, and we talking about, I don't really care about race, and race doesn't matter, we all the same. Young people think this, even the hip-hop generation.
Well, that means, again, like I said, they don't have the facts. You may appear to be informed. See, there's a lot of information out here, but most of the information I see people gravitating towards is news that you cannot use. So what you got to learn how to do is discriminate, and you got to be able to siphon off the news. Just because something is on the computer, just because something is in a paper, it does not mean it's something that you can benefit from. And I see that our young people have the inability, don't have the ability to discriminate and make judgments about what it is that I can use and what it is I cannot use. One thing that one of our great poets and writers says that is so simple and so plain, and he says, and this is Haki Mahambuti, he says that we should not, as black people, we should not engage in anything that is not in the best interest of African people. Now then the next person, well, I ain't no African. I don't know African.
That's right. That's
well, once you denounce that, it's obvious that you will begin working against your own interests. So if you need a barometer, that is the barometer. If you are of African descent, Barack is of African descent.
That's right.
If you are of African descent, then you need to know what it is that is working, and you know this. You know, look at all the African people all over the world. What are they suffering from? And if no candidate is speaking in regards to addressing those issues, and we all have those issues, some of us to a lesser degree than others, then we don't need to support them. And if we just happen to like them, then we need to make them put that on their agenda. That's what I'm saying. That's political power.
Thank you, Pat.
Bye.